Hey guys, this is LiveLongGear. Now today, I'm going to be talking about something a little different. I'm going to be talking a little less about camping and backpacking, but it pertains. A little more about me and what I do for a living. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I do for a living. You guys can figure that out as time goes on. I don't know what I do for a living sometimes. But I'm going to share with you some of the books I read and some of the things that, people look at these kinds of books sometimes and say, oh, you're just trying to make a lot of money. Well, or, filthy rich people, and that's a funny saying because filthy rich, I mean, those things don't go together to me because I don't know too many people that have a lot of financial backing and well-being that don't bathe often or don't observe ordinary personal hygiene. So that's a very unusual statement to me. But anyways, with that being said, being a little less funny and a little more, let's look at this stuff. These are a bunch of books I'd recommend. And these are all books on tape, but I have every single one of them on hardback. A couple in paperback, but whatever. Now the reason I bought these all on tape is because I don't sit down and read that often. I mean, I do. I read the news, I read the paper, I get on some different sites and read information when I'm studying for stuff or trying to figure something out. But to be honest, I don't sit down and read for half an hour to an hour. I just don't do it. So I've got here a whole bunch of books on tape. And I didn't sign up for an Audible account. I don't have a Kindle. I have an Android phone. I've got everything from a Mac to a PC to just, I've got a CD player in my truck. I don't even have an MP3 player anymore, other than my Android. So what I did is I went out and I ordered these online. These happen to be by Brilliance Audio. They're all MP3 CDs. The cool thing about these are that in comparison with just buying an Audible audiobook, is Audible, you have to have their application to be able to run their program or their MP3 players. In my experience, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but when you buy an MP3 CD, you can put it on your computer. You can transfer that to your phone. You can make CDs. You can make copies. Put it in multiple places. When I work out, I don't listen to music. I'm kind of a weird guy. I listen to these things. I really like having stuff to listen to, stuff that I want to read on audiobook. So I'll go over some of them I have here. Some of them, I've read every single one of these with the exception of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I've only read part of that. And I've read this in various sections, not the whole thing. So most of the books I have are actually, about half of them are Napoleon Hill. If you're not familiar with the guy, it'd really do you big wonders to get out there and figure it out. And figure out who he is, figure out what he does or what he did, and read about that stuff. It'll help you out. The more financially successful you are, the more you can enjoy your life. I don't remember which guy on YouTube said this, but I kind of like the quote. And I'm going to misquote it, I'm sure. But what he said is basically, he's a prepper, one of those guys that preps. And, I'm not saying I don't do that. I do. But, there's no point in prepping today or prepping for tomorrow if you don't live today. So what that means is you have to enjoy the things today. So these books, these mentalities, this thought process kind of helps me become a little more financially secure and understand the things around me better. And that's a goal I've always got in the foreground that I'm always pushing. So with that being said, we got the 1 Minute Manager. If you ever work in management, you ever be a supervisor, or even if you're not, this book is actually unique because it's meant for both employees to management, to supervisors, to team leads, to whatever you want to call it. The 1 Minute Manager helps with all of that stuff because it is made, it's a very short book, to be honest with you. You can probably read the entire book, I don't know, 2 hours. But, depending on read speed, of course. But it's a great book because it actually explains ways to talk with people. It's literally not just managing time. It's a way to talk with people that will help you get good results, help you feel good about yourself, and help them feel good about themselves. I could talk about each one of these for a long time. I'm just going to skim over them. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The reason I got it, honestly, is because it's a well-acclaimed book. I read a little bit about it and very much enjoyed it. There's tons of different sections, tons of different types of these. They've got the 8th habit. They've got all these other things. In my experience, this seemed to be what started the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This seemed to be the one that started all the other books. So I like the original because that one I know was a success. The other ones, you're never as sure on. Then we'll move on to Napoleon Hill's, or you know what? Let's do this. We'll put the Napoleon Hills all together. This is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I've heard both things. I've done some professional financial management in my time so far, and I intend to do more in the future. This book, some people proclaim that this book doesn't really give you that much information, doesn't give you that much high-quality advice. I'm not arguing that. Robert T. Kiyosaki, in my belief, was just trying to explain a commonly used set of systems or mentalities for a broad audience. He's not targeting, with this book, he is not targeting people who are financially on their A game. I believe he's targeting a massive audience, trying to gather people and give people at least a base understanding that they may not have gotten in high school or growing up or even just living their regular lives. He's trying to reach that audience, I think, and trying to explain a lot of base principles that you can start building your information system. In your mind. I call it an information system. What I mean, I guess, is that how you deal with the world and how you see finance and money and the things around you. It kind of gives you more of an economist point of view. But also, it's got a great background story of children and how they understand money. So that's why I like it. I enjoy it because when I have children, I fully intend on teaching them a lot of the principles inside this book. I think that'll give them a good, strong start in life. Next one I'm going to go on is Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success. Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success, the 17 Principles of Personal Achievement. It's a good book. Like I say, this is a very long one, if I remember correctly. I have not read this entire one either. It's a fairly long one, if I recall. When I say fairly long, I want to say it's 10 hours. Oh, no, I've lied. I've stretched the truth. This here says that it's 3 hours and 8 minutes. One of these is 10 hours long. Anyhow, Napoleon Hill's great stuff. He has an entire foundation named after him. The things he did in his life were just really incredible financially, socially, and developmentally. He's done some incredible things. Even religiously. If you get into this guy, his story, he's actually fairly religious, and it's incredible. So I would read that book. That one is not my favorite of them all, but that's probably pretty close to it. This is probably my favorite of Napoleon Hill's books, Outwitting the Devil. When I first heard that, I thought, oh, okay, it's a religious book. Well, not at all. It's a way to see things in the world. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, which I don't have here with me. Think and Grow Rich is probably my number 2 favorite Napoleon Hill book, next to this one. This teaches you a lot of things. This book will help you see things in a different way, like all books can. What this book does, Outwitting the Devil, is he pits himself and the things that he thinks are negative to his life, negative to him enjoying happiness, negative to him enjoying, anything negative, anything that detracts from what he wants to enjoy, and he pretends like that is all a part of what the devil is. As he's going through and questioning, he has an actual interview. He sits down with the devil and questions back and forth. They talk back and forth, and he says, oh, how do you control people, the devil? Devil, how do you control people? Things like that. So the devil is really, as it is, I believe, in some religions, metaphorical of what the bad things are, or the unpleasant things, or things a person has to go through. So it really plays in that, only he actually gives the devil a physical body, a physical voice, and they discuss things, and it's just an incredible book. So I'd check that out. Your Right to Be Rich. This book kind of is a self-empowerment book, as I see it. It allows a lot of good principles, kind of like what I was saying with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, when it talks about ways you can develop yourself, ways you can see things. This one is a little bit more informative, in my opinion. So very, very useful book as well. Selling You. If you've ever done door-to-door sales, which a lot of communications teachers will tell you 2 years of door-to-door sales is as good as 4 years of communications classes. Or they'll tell you something similar, maybe not that exact statement. Door-to-door sales, that's the best way you can see a lot of people and deal with a lot of people and see how their lives work, what makes them tick, what they understand. This book really builds on that. If you've worked for companies like Primerica, Vector Marketing, who sells Cutco, Kirby sells vacuums, Rainbow sells vacuums. There are pest control, companies. There are ADT. There's home, which is a home safety system or security system. There's any number of door-to-door sales things you can do. This book if you have any of that, or even if you don't have any of it, will give you a good insight as to that mentality or that ability or what that kind of stuff will do for you. So I would definitely check this book out. So all in all, we've got the Napoleon Hill books. I'm going to put them, we'll put them in the same way I had them before. I'm going to list them in my order from, we'll say, least favorite on this side to most favorite. If you can only pick one to read, I'm going to list them like that. So this one actually probably goes all the way on that side. Robert T. Kiyosaki goes next because he teaches good base principles. I'd have to say the 1 Minute Manager is probably the next most important. Then, you know, I know this is kind of going to be hard to see the way I want you guys to be able to see this stuff, but bear with me, I'm doing my best. And we'll open this up and slide that under there. So here's how I see it. If I had to pick books, you know, if I only had enough money to pick 1 or 2 books, this is how I would pick them. You can buy these books used, you guys, for like nothing. I think you can buy the 1 Minute Manager on the Android app market for like $1. So there's no reason you don't have something to read other than just playing a little game or something. Not saying that I don't play games, but, you know, that's what I would do with my time. So you got Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's my favorite Napoleon Hill book. Think and Grow Rich, I would actually probably put right before Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't have that one right now. I really need to order it. Don't have it yet. Rich Dad, Poor Dad for the principles it teaches. The 1 Minute Manager for how it teaches you to interact. Most people have to work for a living, so you're going to have to interact with some person that is either guiding you, instructing you, or working for you. And that's why this book, I mean, everything from, we've got everything from clergymen to politicians, to blue-collar to white-collar jobs. There's people from all categories that recommend the 1 Minute Manager because of what it teaches. A very, very strong message, and it's a short read. The seven Habits of Highly Effective People is a great book because it gives people that want to make a difference or a change in their lives, it gives them another base point or a direction, and it actually gives you guidance within each of those directions. Then you've got Napoleon Hill's Keys to Success. You've got Selling You by Napoleon Hill also, and Your Right to Be Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now that's not to say these are all the best books I have. These are just the ones I've been reading currently about financial and you know, sort of self-betterment. I don't necessarily go into the self-understanding. I go into the betterment because I feel like I understand myself. I know that may come off as not the way I intend it, but I feel like I understand myself, and even if I don't think I do, I'm pretty sure I act with what I know, and I'm going to go forward with things like these things. So I need to focus on what I can do to change, or what I can have a pedestal to work towards, sort of like a mentor, and these books can provide that for you. So there you have it, guys. Totally different from all my other videos, I know. The reason I made this channel is so that I can kind of do what I want and talk the way I want. Another channel I'm a part of is a channel called JANC Guns, or JNC Guns, Jank Guns, whatever you want to call it, where me and a couple of friends got together and make a bunch of gun videos. We do comparisons. We just do on camera what we normally discuss or talk about or argue about, or, you know, things like that. So, alright guys, comment, like, subscribe. If you don't like this video, tell me in the comments, and try and tell me why if you can. If you do like this video or you have other books, please give them to me. I love to read books like this. If you do like this video, let me know, because I wouldn't mind doing a few more like this. Or, you know, something similar. Either way, please comment and tell me what you think, good or bad. Alright guys, take care. Subscribe if you like it.